Howdy brewers. I know it's been a long time, but today we're going to do an all grain. And we're going to do one of my favourite beers to drink on every now and again. It's a Belgian Blonde. I love the earthy aromas. I love the phenolics, the spices that come through with this beer. And because I spotted a new yeast, a Belgian Abbey yeast made by Danstar, I think. It's green anyway, is the packet. But I just thought, yeah, I'm going to do a Belgian Blonde. It's going to be a simple grain bill. I'll put the recipe at the end of the video as always. But I'm just simple mash, schedule 65 degrees Celsius for mashing, and I'll mash out at 75. I know, so if you're worried 65 is a bit low, I want a Belgian Blonde needs to be dry and crisp, so we want to get as many fermentable sugars as possible without being too dry. So I don't want to go too far below 65, so between 64 and 66 is where I want the range to fluctuate with. But yeah, it's I'm just going to I'll explain it through the day, but you'll if you haven't seen one of my all grain videos, because it's been a while since one's been posted, I'll run through all my steps again today that I do. Alright, let's get into the brew day. Cheers. Okay. Because it's been a while since I've done a brew, but you should do this every time anyway, first step is cleaning, sanitizing, or cleaning. Rinse out the, and I'll rinse the other parts of the grain father as well. This is just for demonstration purposes. Now, remember, put this in before you fill it with water. While that's filling, we can set up some of the other stuff for the day. While our grain father's filling with water, we'll get our brew water, or our brewing salts right. So now, using mainly pale malts today, so it's 1 teaspoon for me of calcium chloride, and that I want to bring out a little bit of those malt flavours. And because I'm a little bit worried about the pH just not getting low enough, ½ teaspoon of gypsum, because I'm not too worried about the hop aromas, so I'm not going to put too much more gypsum in than that. But yeah, that'll go in my brew water, and yeah, I'll bring you back when next step. I circulate the water to get it more, it gets to temperature faster, and I add my water, I add my salts with all my water, so that way I'm mashing and sparging with the same water chemistry. Alright, so that's it until I get to sort of near mashing temp. One thing that I should mention is, if you can't plug your grain father or whatever equivalent brewing system into the wall directly, you need to get yourself at least a 15 amp extension cord. I used to do it with a 10 amp cord, but I found that my boil rates weren't as vigorous. My the length of time it took to get up to temperature took longer than I thought it should, and as it turns out, it was the 10 amp cord. So when I upgraded to 15 amp, I have none of those issues anymore. So that's just one of those tips I think people should be aware of. Right. So it's not far from mashing temp, but the point is that all the water, all the salts and everything should be mixed up quite evenly throughout the mix. Now, what I'm about to do is something some people don't like, but I think it works. And I'm going to add citric acid into my sparge water. The reason why I'm doing that is to lower the pH just enough. So I want to get it to about a pH of about between 6 and 6.4, and then when that goes through the grain bed right at the end, I'm still in the good pH range of 5.2 to 5.4. Some people don't agree with it, but when you're only dropping the pH by about 1, it really doesn't affect the flavour, because you're still in the neutral zone. You're not in the acid zone until you hit about 5. The neutral zone is between 5 and 9, and you really can't taste too much of the sourness that comes with acid flavours. And you don't need much. Just that much of a sprinkle will be enough to bring that pH down in 15 litres. And the reason why I do it is, one, to keep the water at the right pH when I'm sparging, and also I have found my mash efficiency is so much better. We're up to temperature. Let's mash in. I will go and get some rice hulls as well, just so I don't have to worry about this stuff. Just because I'm using about 35 or 40% wheat malt in this, I don't want to risk stuck sparge. Should be okay, but sometimes you never know. Okay, that sparge will be for 60 minutes, and then we'll mash out. We're halfway through the mash now. We'll just give the grain bed a stir. Remember to try and do this to the first half of your mash. Really helps with the efficiency. Even though it's recirculating, I just find, the mash efficiency I get is around 90%, 88 to 90, 91% generally. You don't need to do it too much. And we'll just let that recirculate and you get a really clear wort. Alright, let that go for another half hour. We're almost at the end of the mash out. So I like to just check, just see how we're going with the gravity. So if this changes in 5 minutes, then I leave the mash going for a little bit longer. Alright, so we've got that. It's reading 1064. It doesn't really matter what it's reading. The point is in 5 minutes if it changes. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so sorry I forgot to film the second reading I took, but the gravity did shoot up by a couple of points, so I mashed again for another 10 minutes, mashed in, and now I've got stable readings, and yeah, so now I'll mash out. Okay, that's mash out done. So what we do now is sparge. I'll get 1 litre of water at 77 degrees and pour that over the top when that starts to filter through. And I do that for the entire sparge amount, of which today was 16 litres in the grandfather, 15 litres of sparge water. So sorry, 16 litres of mash water and 15 litres of sparge water. and that's based on a 21 litre batch with the roughly 4.5 kilogram grain bill. Okay, the sparge is done. Now it's almost at the boil, because I get the boil while I'm sparging. I turn on all the elements. So right now because I have the wheat in there, I just wanted to make sure that all that stuff, there's not too much grain husk at the bottom. That's going to potentially bring out some tannins. Yeah, so I just filter it out. Doing first word hopping with Magnum hops, and then I'll be doing some flavour hops with Hallertau Mittelfrüh. Alright, yeah, it doesn't look like there's too much in there, which is good. So, alright, we'll bring it to the boil. 60-minute boil, first word hops with Magnum, and 20-minute hop addition with Mittelfrüh. Cheers. Okay, here we have our 30 grams of Hallertau Mittelfrüh, and that'll be in for 20 minutes. So while I'm waiting for the wort to finish boiling, I'm just sanitizing or sterilizing my wort chiller, and I use it's a 40 plate wort chiller, and I sterilize that for about 10 minutes. Okay, 10 minutes left in the boil. Throwing in some yeast nutrient and a well flock tablet. Okay, we've come to the end of the boil. What I'm going to do now is I'll put the lid on, and now I'm just going to let that sit for a few minutes so the wort can, or the well flock can do the thing it's meant to do, and that should all settle out. And also I will start cooling down my plate chiller, so when I transfer to the fermenter, it's ready for pitching. I forgot to show you when I was going to the fermenter. So I have a sanitized little sieve there to increase the surface area for the brew to take on oxygen, and there we're filtering through slowly, and that'll be at pitching temp in whenever it's full, which should be about maybe 10 more minutes. Well, brewers, it's the end of the brew day. So this is the yeast. Told you it was green. So Belgian style ale yeast. Going to ferment, it says between 18 and 24. I like the phenolics, so the sort of clovey flavours in my Belgian blondes, and the earthy flavours should come from the hops, but cloves and a bit of earth is what I'm after. It's how I like my blonde ales. So I'm going to ferment at 19, not have so much fruit in it. I know I normally rehydrate, but Belgian style yeasts are really, really fast acting. They're really strong. They should be done in about 4 days. So I'm just sprinkling it on top. Alright, well, thank you for joining me for an all grain brew day, and yeah, if you like what you see, hit the thumbs up, the like button, the thing that says that you like the video. If you've got any queries, feel free to ask, and yeah, I'll see you at tasting. Cheers.